Guys, this story right here is a prime example of why I can't live in a Democrat-run state. I just can't, or at least put it this way, overwhelmingly Democrat-run state. I just can't do it. I just can't do it because for as much as I don't like paying taxes, right, when the government is taking a third of your check, what I hate seeing even more is the money be wasted, right? Wasted. Given away, right, to those who are not Americans, okay? Whether that's to other countries, and whether even if it's people in our own country, right, but that are here illegally, right? Because New York, right, has created a $2 billion fund to provide illegal immigrants with COVID relief. Yes, you read it. A $2 billion fund to illegal immigrants, okay? Let's read a little bit more here, because this is as ridiculous as it sounds. New York lawmakers struck a deal this week to establish a $2.1 billion coronavirus relief fund for undocumented immigrants and other unemployed workers who were ineligible for federal aid during the pandemic. The fund, which was announced as a part of a broader $212 billion state budget agreement, will offer one-time payments of about $15,600 to undocumented immigrants who lost their jobs during the virus-induced crisis. So they're offering a one-time payment of up to $15,600. $15,600. I'm just speechless. I'm really just speechless because I guarantee you, this is the same state, Cuomo, who was begging for money, okay? Said that it was going broke, begging the rich people to come back, okay? And speaking of rich people, I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but begging them to come back, right? And they just got the aid that they wanted with Biden's stimulus package, right? Which is basically federal tax dollars, which means this is probably money that's came from me and you. Right. And they've given it to big blue states like New York. Right. Who, has been affected by this virus. Right. So they turn around and they take those federal dollars and they do this. They give $15,600 to undocumented immigrants. Come on, man. Listen, I understand undocumented immigrants, are living in this country and, they do get the shit on the stick. But this is why Democrats and Republicans really at this point need to stop putting on this comedy show and actually do something on immigration reform, right? For this very reason right here, okay? Because this right here is just incredible. So let's keep reading. In order to qualify for the money, individuals must prove they are New York residents who are ineligible for unemployment benefits and stimulus checks due to their immigration status. They will also need to demonstrate that they lost income during the pandemic. Other illegal immigrants who are unable to show some level of verification will be eligible to receive $3,200, the same amount that any American received from the three stimulus checks approved by Congress this year and last. So New York has just decided we're giving our illegal immigrants stimulus checks, regardless of what the federal government say, right? And, I wonder how they're going to verify employment for somebody that's working under the table, right? Is a company supposed to write them a note like, hey, I'm employing this amount of people illegally. Here you go, right? Like, how are you supposed to verify, right? Are you also, if you're an illegal immigrant, are you supposed to go to the office and say, hey, I'm here illegally. I need my money. I need a stimulus check. I really don't know, right? I don't know how this is supposed to work, right? It's almost like they're facilitating these people being here, right? As in, it's not like they're trying to create a pathway for them to actually become full-fledged, residents, permanent residents or citizens. But at the same time, they're also taking care of them, which is incentivizing people to want to come here knowing that they're going to be taken care of. It's really weird, right? But see, it's not really that much of a secret, right? Because at the end of the day, illegal immigration is cheap labor, right? It's cheap labor. And this is why the Democrats and the Republicans both don't really want to do anything. The Democrats, I think, some of it is the label stuff, but I think for them mostly it's about the votes, right? It's about Hispanic vote. It's about creating a pathway to citizenship. So again, they all vote Democrat, right? And Democrats try to make sure they take care of these illegal immigrants to make sure that eventually when they pass some legislation, if they ever do, right, to actually make them citizens, then that vote will be in the bag, right? That's the Democrats, right? The Republicans talk about trying to stop illegal immigration, but when it comes down to actually passing some legislation, I don't see any. Right? There's no legislation. Okay. And what that tells me is that, okay, something's off, right? Because your rhetoric is not matching your actions, right? And, in my opinion, again, I think it's the cheap labor part of it. I think that there's a lot of corporate interests in this country that really depend on illegal immigration, and actually solving that problem and stopping the flow of illegal immigrants in this country is probably going to cost a lot of businesses a lot of money, right? And obviously the politicians can't let that happen. Hence why I think that we're not going anywhere on this subject. And in the meantime, since, business interest doesn't want you to do anything about it, so you do nothing about it, you can just blame it all on Democrats, because the Democrats are overtly pro illegal immigration, right? So all the problems that nobody ever wants to fix, just blame it on Democrats. And just, maintain the status quo, right? It's just kind of how politics go. And all while these guys are politicking away, it is putting a strain on the welfare system and the social safety net that we have, right? As in 2013, the Heritage Foundation estimated that illegal immigration, minus the taxes that they pay, because that's something that liberals always say, well, these people pay taxes. Well, there's an overall net loss of $54.3 billion, right? It's costing us $54.3 billion. Now, there hasn't been that much research into this area, so, there's an argument to be made that, once they have kids, their kids contribute more because their kids get educated, they get higher wages, they use less benefits because they're younger, right? I 100% get it. I'm just saying that, I think there's a way in which we can make this system right, in which we can stop the flood of illegal immigrants, right? Figure out the root cause of why they're coming here in the first place. That would be a good thing to do too, while at the same time protecting American workers and citizens, and also, extracting more taxpayer dollars from those who are already here. Okay, I think we can figure this out, but it seems that the politicians, again, are more concerned about politicking instead of legislating. Quote, the nation's economy has been long built off the backs of undocumented workforce and their essential labor that has helped keep our nation running through this pandemic, New York State Senator Jessica Ramos, a proponent of the fund, said in a statement. The so-called Excluded Workers Fund emerged as one of the biggest sticking points in budget negotiations, which dragged on past April 1st deadline. Democrats clashed publicly over the fund, including how some workers would be able to show proof of unemployment, whether formerly incarcerated individuals should be covered, and if aid should be taxable. At the same time, Republicans slammed Democrats for setting aside billions for illegal immigration, for illegal immigrants, when many other New Yorkers are still struggling, and called it an outlandish development of one-party rule in Albany. Yep, that is exactly right. That is exactly right. The left-leaning Fiscal Policy Institute estimated the fund could benefit close to 290,000 undocumented people statewide, including 1,300 in New York City. About 92,000 workers in New York State will be eligible for the full $15,600 payment. An estimated 725,000 undocumented immigrants live in New York State, according to the Pew Research Center. California established its own $75 million cash assistance program last year, giving undocumented immigrants a $500 one-time stimulus check on a first-come, first-served basis. Okay, wow. Yeah, so no surprise to see that the other most liberal state, California, basically did the exact same thing, right? And I really got questions about people who support this type of stuff. Like, how can you live in a state like that, right, and pay such enormous taxes, right? They actually increased taxes on those making over $1 million in this state budget plan, right? So they actually increase taxes as well, right? And you see your taxes be increased, And then the state turns around and gives the money to people who came here illegally, right? It's almost like crime actually pays, right? The Democrats want to make it so crime actually pays, right? And that's the biggest problem I have with this. It's like we either have law and order or we don't, right? If you're here illegally, why are we treating these people like citizens? I don't understand, because New York didn't give any citizens a cash payment, right? I didn't see them giving anybody any cash payment. And some people might say, well, they already got their cash payment. That came from the federal government. I mean, and this money comes from federal government too. But at the same time, it's like, bruh, if you're going to take this money, taxpayer money, and you're going to give it to these people, you might want to also at least include something for regular working class people that, you know, are actual citizens of this country. But again, this is just another example of the America last policy of the Democrats. America last, right? You see out in California, I think it was San Diego, they had teachers giving in-person lessons, right, to undocumented immigrants. But yet citizens, right, kids of tax-paying citizens have to stay home, right, and get lessons online, right, remotely. You know, again, this is the type of stuff where it's just like, okay, I'm all for being a humanitarian, right? I'm all for helping people out, right? I'm all for that. But you got to take care of your own first, okay? You got to take care of your own first. I think it just rubs people the wrong way, right? This is what I'm paying into. I'm paying into a system where, you know, my money is being given to people who aren't here legally. It's being given to big corporations that don't really need it. It's being given to everybody except those that are working class, right? And every single time there's a debate about helping out those who are working class, who are, again, taxpayer citizens, the backbone of this country, the Democrats and Republicans act like they can't seem to figure it out, right? But when it either comes to those who are, you know, undocumented, who are here illegally, or when it comes to, you know, big corporations, they can, you know, they can figure out how to get some aid to those people and to help those people out as soon as possible. But again, when it comes to the working class, we're always left behind, right? So, you know, this was interesting, right? I would be pretty upset if I was a New York taxpayer, but it is what it is, right? It just comes with being in a super liberal state. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.